All right, man, and we are back. Today I should have threw out the date. Today is Friday, August 18th, and I just started this second series of build videos today at around 1 o'clock in the afternoon, as far as filming time, and it is currently 3:30 ish. Um, so here we go. This is the second video on the second build series, day two. And I figured I'd just start out with the chassis once more, taking a look at this just for the WL toy guys out there. As far as the thickness and durability, like I'm pushing on this thing, man, and it's got nothing in it. So technically, it should be pretty flexible. The WL toys is all put together, right? It's fully assembled. I can push in on this thing and cave in the chassis, you know? Not just in the center, man, but I can push it in on the sides and cave it in. Um, so, just quick example. Yeah, they are definitely made out of different materials. Um, like I said, the Vatera Twin Hammers is a way stronger. Excuse my poor English here. It's a lot stronger, way more rigid. It definitely, I don't know if it has some kind of fibrous material in it or not, but you can almost see it. It almost looks like it has some kind of fibrous material in it. And this one, yeah, it kind of looks like it right now, but it's just because it's all scratched. But this one is definitely not. Like I said, you can probably see me pushing it in right now. You cannot do that with this. FYI, that's where we're starting off with. Hey, you know what? Well, since we're here and we're talking, let's talk about this. You want to talk about tinny. We used to say that about people with four-wheeler, some four-wheeler parts and whatnot, that someone would get new clutch levers and we'd be like, oh, those look kind of tinny. That's what this looks like. Like the WL, or not the WL, but the Vatera actually has like a little set screw that goes in here so you can replace that pin and everything on the drive shaft. Everything's kind of set up the same, except the U-joint that I put together the other day, or the ball joint, is this upper one up in here in the transmission. So this is not focusing on it too well. But one set screw on it. Really tinny, cheap material. Almost looks like plastic covered with chrome. The Vatera one looks like it's made out of, black impact socket material. It's thick. It's got some beef to it, some girth to it, and that's what she said. Sorry. So anywho, it is definitely beefy, and you can change out the pin in the socket or whatever on the inside. Drive shafts, we don't know yet. I know the drive shafts on this one's held up pretty good, but I replaced the pin in the back with an Allen wrench on this one too. So just like I did with the front CV joints, I pulled out the pins and put Allen wrenches in them. So yeah, another quick comparison there on those two. Just the drive shaft yokes here, a lot stronger compared to the WL. And another thing too, while we're still holding the WL in my hand here, you see those drive shaft out drives, those cups that are on there, those are Vatera Twin Hammer heavy duty drive shaft cups. That's what came with my kit as well. Now mine actually came with like a chrome colored cup on it, and it was really thin and cheap, and I split it in half. There's a video on that. My buddy's 10428 standard, the green one, the green buggy that looks like the Twin Hammers, that one has black stuff on it. Now, I didn't really get a good close look at it yet to see what the actual diameter is on everything and to see how thick it is in comparison, to see if it's, like different or not. Like I might have got a bad one, or I might have got like a newer version of one where they cheapen things up. I don't know. I'm just, going off of visual comparisons here, so I'm definitely not an expert. But I'm pretty good at, sizing things up. So regardless, like I said, they could be different on a regular standard 10428 compared to a 10428A. So we'll just leave it with that, and we'll start going back into the Vatera here. And while we're here, we'll look at this cheap plastic on these tie rod ends. Still that soft, janky plastic, so that's going to strip out in a minute. And yeah, you could, if you do strip out screws on here, you could, I've been wanting to say this for a while, you can take out the fine thread screws and go get coarse thread screws like the old Tamiya screws. and they would probably screw into that soft plastic better. You would probably get a better hold on the soft plastic with that coarse thread screw. You're giving it more of a gap. You're giving more that plastic, something to hold on to, versus with the fine thread. So, in this case, yeah, if you do strip one out, you might be able to run a coarse thread one in there. Just FYI for anybody that might be having problems. Alright, so back to the build video at hand. We have turned over to page B3, and we are setting up the steering servo. So I already got out the corresponding bag of parts, which was bag 1, 2. No indication on the page as to grab bag 1, 2. So that's what we're looking at there, and I'm going to start grabbing all the hardware, and laying out all this good stuff, and then we'll continue here. Alright, so just empty the contents of B12 here, and this is also a little hardware bag that was stuck inside that. I had a bunch of little screws and nuts and whatnot. So we got everything laid out here. We need 4 of these screws, 4 of these washers, have those laid out. Got one little lock nut. This little ball joint socket here. They don't have that listed on the parts list, but obviously we do need that. Everything's all kind of laid out, including that socket, which they don't have listed. And then we need one of these little guys, and they have numbers on them according to what kind of servo that you're using. And we're looking for number 23, which is this guy right here. Not going to be able to focus in on it, but believe me, it does say 23 on it. And there's 24 and 25. So we'll put 24 and 25 back into the bag that they came from, and start assembling this, as well as these 2 plastic parts. You need those set up so you have the rounded part on the inside, and this little protruding part here with the screw hole on it on the outside. They are kind of tapered, and they're sitting on a slight angle there. They are kind of leaning outward when you have them sitting there. Alright, so we'll start assembling this little mess here, as well as threading in this little socket into the servo arm here. Making sure that we're getting this in the right direction, or putting this on in the right direction. It looks like this is threading into that nut, so FYI there. And the nut's going into a little socket on the servo horn. Alright, well, I got that threaded into here real quick. I have one of the M3 10mm sitting in the back of the servo horn. I need to grab the servo, which is this guy right here. Spectrum S6260. Easy for me to say. Metal gear. It's got this weird plug on the back that plugs in, or you can unplug this whole little cord from the back of it. Little 3-prong plug. Goes in pretty deep. It's supposed to be waterproof. Plug goes in pretty deep on it. Alright, so we're going to use this guy, and we will get him all lined up here and start attaching some hardware. Okie dokie, we got all those guys on there and driven home. The 4 M3 10mm and the 4 washers going into these brackets, servo mounts. They are kind of curved, sitting on a slight angle. And this thing's kind of skinny, man. I'm kind of wondering about it. Hoping she's got the juice to get the job done. Alright, so we're going to lay that out there, and the last thing to do with this portion is to put this little drive cog on and get it all centered up on the servo horn. Okie dokie. Well, I got the little drive cog on the servo here. They want you to have the servo arm sitting slightly, hanging slightly to the left there, or to the right. To the left if you're got it going in the right direction, I guess. And I was putting this on there, and it was kind of bouncing this way and bouncing that way, bouncing this way. I just clocked that forward like 2 clicks in order to get this to sit in its correct location, which is right about there, kind of, sort of. And you're probably saying, oh, you didn't center the servo. Actually, I did. Earlier today, I plugged everything in, the speed controller, binded the receiver with my radio, did all that, and I plugged in the servos, and I centered the servos out right then and there. So sorry about that. I centered them out off camera. So all right, I'm going to put the screw in on this guy, and then we'll turn the page. All right, she's all attached. Got moved slightly upon tightening. And turn the page. B3, page 30, 31, going to 32. Dropping this baby in the bathtub. You need two M3 12 millimeters with a taper on them and two M3 lock nuts. And then after that, it looks like we're dropping trans in. Four M3 8 mils, two 10 mils, two 12s. All right, let's pause it up here and get this baby ready to go in. Okie dokie. Well, we got all our hardware. I've got it sitting right there on the cardboard. Our two M3 what are those? M3 12 millimeters and the two lock nuts. The servo is going to be sitting right across here. There is little corresponding sockets for the nuts there. So we will drop this in place real quick. Shoot, pause. Alright, and we are back. And for some reason I lost my camera flash. Well, we're installing these little nuts into the back half of this spacer down here, in the back of the servo, the bracket. That was pretty tough getting that one in over there. I'm going to have to pull the plug on this one to get this other one in and figure out what's going on with my camera flash here.